Hello, this is Marta Valera and this is my video for Attention to Diversity. Understanding the present and the future of special education involves a journey into the past. Diversity is an inherent characteristic of the human being. Since the origin of humanity, there have been people who differentiated themselves from others for different reasons, links to ability, physical conditions, etc. We started with a period called psychiatric oscurantism. Since there were no scientific explanations and reasons of a demonic nature were used, the Lincurungus law relates how newborns with symptoms of weakness or malformations were eliminated. Hippocrates' Asclepia de San Galeno, on the other hand, locate the genesis of abnormal behavior in the physical processes of the body and not in elements external to the organism. In the late Middle Ages, the Inquisition will reinforce the psychiatric oscurantism, where the presence of the diabolic at the origins of abnormal behavior is sustained. Psychiatric naturalism begins in the 16th century, where nature itself is the basis for explaining disorder of human behavior. In the 60th to the 18th century, special teaching begins with a class for the deaf and blind. The Industrial Revolution causes the confinement, internment, or seclusion of all who were considered non-productive for society. In the 18th century, doctors influenced by the French Revolution began as the forerunners of special education. Society becomes aware of the need to care people with disabilities. In the 20th century, at the end of the 60s, a sharp turn will take place in the relation to the way of understanding and concretizing the attention and educational response to diversity. And at the end, in the 21st century, students with and without special education needs share a center and classroom. Inclusive education is also anyone who may be experiencing a process of exclusion. These questions refers to from LOMCE to LOMCE. Throughout the last years, with the different educational law, we have been able to observe a considerable evolution regarding attention to diversity. In the first place, I'm going to talk about LOMCE in the 1990, which attention to diversity was possible thanks to the open and flexible curriculum, as well as the adoption of ordinary and extraordinary measures such as support, tutoring, curriculum adaptation, etc. Next, the law in 2006 proposed an educational system based on the principle of a common education with attention to diversity, with connection between different types of teaching. And in the last place, the LOMCE, which in my opinion was the law that has made the bigger change in attention to diversity. In the LOMCE, education is in respect for fundamental rights and freedoms, in equal rights and opportunity between the men and women, and in non-discrimination against people with disabilities. Thus, according to the decree that regulates the response to diversity of the students and the order referring to the Plan of Attention to Diversity of the Autonomous Community or Region of Murcia, the Educational Center will act establishing inclusive educational project. They will have to elaborate a plan of attention to diversity that includes the general actions, regular and specific measures that a center puts in practice to attend to all its students. It is the responsibility of educational guidance professionals to identify their specific educational needs and the proposed educational response of their students, specifying the teaching and learning strategies that the center will adopt, all those strategies that the educational system puts in operation to offer a quality common education to all students. And now I'm going to answer the third question. If I were a primary school teacher and there was a girl in my class with special needs related to intellectual functional diversity, what I would do as a teacher would be to read the student's psychopedagogical report, to know the special educational needs, and also to know their level of curricular competence, and in this way we can elaborate a PTE to give the educational response that the girl needs. The PTE will include all the adaptation to access to the curriculum, the adaptation in the learning standards, the methodological and activity adaptation, and the evaluation adaptation. Likewise, an individualized curriculum adaptation will be collected in the areas that were necessary. At the center level, you will provide with the specific resources of PT, AL, and you require. The teacher will meet the PT, AL specialist and the school counselor to gather information to organize the educational response of the students. Coordination with the tutor from the previous course will be facilitated for the exchange of information. Coordination with the family will also be facilitated to gather information and monitor the educational measures that are adopted. And finally, the coordination will be created with association outside the center, in case the girl is going to receive treatment outside the center. The official documents that we must use are the psychopedagogical report, the PTE, the plan of attention to the diversity of the center, the educational programming, and finally, the curriculum.
This is part B. The mark that I think that I deserve is maybe not a 10, but a high mark, because I think I've done all the homework, I've attended to classes, I pay attention to the LMS to be on date, and the most important idea about attention to diversity that I've learned is the whole Unit 7. It has a very impact in me, and I want to learn more about this topic. I think that being able to know the different types of diversity and special needs has made me more aware of the reality that so many people live and the role that I'm going to play as a teacher, and I want to do it correctly. And what I have learned recording this video is how to edit a video in an original way, a thing that I didn't do before. And it also has made me learn and reinforce the concept that we have been given these months.